Hey everybody, I got some real interesting news for you guys today. Now, apparently, someone has filed a class action lawsuit against Gearbox, the developers of Alien Colonial Marines. Now, I'm going to give you a direct comment on what's going on here. Alright, so here it goes. The plaintiff who cites California Civil and Business Code is Damian Pirine. The lawsuit seeks damages for people who purchased the game before the disaster pieces between the advertising of Aliens and actual final product were publicly known. Those outside the press would have no way of knowing what they have purchased at that time. So that's crazy. So these people are what they're trying to say. The whole basis of the lawsuit saying that the demos that we saw at E3 and all that were not the same thing as the final game. Which, if you look at some of the reviews, a lot of people were saying that exact same thing. It was like two completely different games that we were given. I mean, where the hell is the game that we saw on fucking at E3? You know, with aliens just running into a room, and you actually felt like an element of survival horror. I mean, that game wasn't present right there. I mean, but this isn't the first time that this putting out a shitty game was caught up with Gearbox. They're also the same people that put out Duke Nukem Forever. But for that, I actually forgave it a little bit. A lot of people were pissed that it had the feeling of a 90s shooter, but it would have the feeling of a 90s shooter. That game was in like 12 years of development. But not only that, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I want to say Duke Nukem Forever actually went through like 4 or 5 developers. And it was the same thing with Alien Colonial Marines. That went through at least 2 or 3 different developers. It just kept going on down the line until Gearbox finally got it, polished it up as much as they could, and put it out. But I think they kind of just rushed it. I felt on both those games, and not so much with Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem was a beast of its own. I mean, like I said, it went through like 5 different developers. The engine kept changing, the game kept changing, and as soon as something new would come out in the game, like Duke Nukem had to have it all of a sudden. If there's like a bunch of if it was an open world environment, Duke Nukem had to have. If there's racing in it, Duke Nukem had to have. It's just like this clusterfuck of all this shit in a game, and it just really made it terrible. And why it took so long to develop, because it was just becoming so increasingly huge and huge and huge at the start of every new console life, that it just really never got. It just kind of got brushed aside. I mean, all we ever saw was like a few screenshots or a few. Tech demos here and there, but that was that. And it was the same thing with the Alien game, the Aliens game. It was the same damn thing with that. We just saw a couple screenshots here and there. We saw a couple of tech demos here and there, but nothing really happened for a while. And then it was wound up that it got canceled, but then it got, it started back up when Gearbox got a hold of it. So yeah, so they're in some shit by not really putting out a decent games. They cut that both of them were really, really buggy. But I kind of forgive them because they didn't put out a game by themselves. Now, if they put out a game by themselves and they're still shit, then yeah, they're a shitty developer and they deserve everything that's coming to them. But this is something that can really, really help them. Or hurt them, not help them, excuse me. This is going to hurt the shit out of them because honestly, this is sounding like people want a refund, across the board. That anyone that purchased this game can get a refund. It's kind of like what this is looking like they're wanting. I mean, this could be worth millions, and ultimately could completely kill Gearbox, as we know. There still hasn't been a response of what they have to say about this from them or Sega, so they're both being sued. So yeah, I'm kind of this is weird to judge really, because on one hand I feel bad for them because in a lot of ways it's really not their fault because it changed hands so many times, and you got to figure like. They're different people writing code and all that. I mean, you'd have to really know them to know what they were trying to do and what they were doing. I mean, to just take all their source code and kind of like comb through it would be kind of like impossible, I mean, without actually having to talk to the people that wrote it in the first place to explain what's going on. I mean, yeah, it's no wonder games like this turn out like fucking shit. So, it's a shame that both of these happened, but it is what it is, man. So, yeah, I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think Gearbox should be punished for this? Or do you kind of, like, forgive them like in a lot of ways I do? I do forgive them until they put out a game on their own and it still sucks. Then, yeah, fuck them. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm out of here. Deuces.